Episode 9. Oh, hey.
Hey,
That, that
we're back.
record button just snuck up on me.
It really gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, here we are.
we are here. Feels like I have a spider crawling on my arm, but I'm good.
Okay.
Good to go, I think at least.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Devin?
Good. It's been very busy. Very busy, but exciting. New challenges, new fun stuff. So
Yeah, because you've been in your new role for how many months now?
Gosh, 4 months now. Yeah.
4 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So are
So
you
that
hitting the stride?
stride, getting there. It's a, and this is probably a discussion for another day. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of there's a lot of excitement when it comes to facing new challenges, getting into a new routine, meeting a lot of amazing new people, and so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, new beginnings.
New beginnings. Yes. All right.
Anyway,
So I have a topic for us today that I
okay.
feel is going to be a really good discussion, and I would love to hear what you have to say. So let me tee it up for us.
All right.
If we have listeners or viewers who have followed me before, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this. It is limiting beliefs, core beliefs.
Okay.
Devin, you're familiar, right?
Yes.
Okay. So limiting beliefs specific to high performers. So, of course, the work we do, we talk about high performers, high performance all the time. We've geared this whole podcast towards that. And I have found that there are some specific limiting beliefs, core beliefs that drive people in ways that maybe aren't so great sometimes. Of course, some of these limiting beliefs primarily are the ones that are hindering us in some way. They're limiting us. But I want to talk about 3 of those limiting beliefs today.
Okay.
So tell me in your words, Devin,
Oh
what
boy.
is a limiting belief?
Well, first off, okay. So what is a limiting belief? You put me on the spot here, Michelle. So it's something that we internalize, kind of our self-talk, these negative, restrictive thoughts, beliefs that we have, based on, could be based on a number of different things. It could be based on just kind of the society, that kind of the culture we grew up in, childhood experiences, kind of the people that we interact with. And these beliefs are things that sort of sabotage what we want to do, what we can accomplish. And I think it's interesting. Oh, sorry. Well,
I was just going to say that's a really good answer for just right off the cuff with no preparation. So I love that.
Yes. Okay. I probably could have said it a little more eloquently, but I think, one of the things that's interesting, you brought up this topic of limiting beliefs for high performers, and that I'm very interested to hear what you have to say, because I think that oftentimes we think that people who have these limiting beliefs or are hindered by these limiting beliefs are people who can't, it keeps them from being high performers. And so interested to hear your perspective on how, even successful people or people who strive to, really achieve, go above and beyond, how they are also held back by these limiting beliefs.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you there. It's an important differentiator between the things that hold us back from meeting our best performance or being successful, going out and doing the things that other people in society would be like, oh yeah, they're great, they're doing really well with their life. There's those limiting beliefs that kind of hold us back from reaching our full potential, let's say. But on the flip side of that, which we're going to talk about today, is those limiting beliefs that are not so great for the people who have reached success, things that have pushed them to success, but maybe even further than success. So going into burnout, going into overwork, going
Okay.
into not being fulfilled by their job or their career because they have just been chugging along. And so there's a difference. And for each person, the things that drive them to the success markers and beyond, or that keep them from achieving all that they can achieve, those limiting beliefs are different for everyone. But I have found some commonalities. So
All
I
right.
have seen that there are some things that regularly come up for people when we're talking, when I'm learning more about them. And I thought that it was really interesting, some of these things that have come up. And I can certainly relate. And I'm so interested to see if you can relate, because I think that you will.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Bring it
So
on.
before we go into the three that I see that I'm going to talk about today for our discussion, let's also, I guess, clarify or talk a little bit about where these come from. And
Okay.
we'll give examples as we go through these. But the thing that I liked with what you said, you were like society, childhood, our experiences, like our
Yeah.
self-talk, all of this comes from things that we have gone through or been exposed to. So really what we call that is painful past learning.
Okay.
Or just past learning, because sometimes we don't know that it's painful at the time or looking back. It's just something that we've learned. So what I like to say is that these limiting beliefs show up for us exactly as what you said, that self-talk, and they have become the lens that we see the world through. They may become, for a lot of people, the lens that they see relationships through, or the lens that they approach work through. And so most of the time, people are not even aware that this is what is happening for them. They have to do a level of self work, reflection, examination, and then they bring it to their conscious awareness. And that is when you can actually start working on it and changing it. So I just wanted to mention that there, because when we go through some of these, it's not that anyone's experience has been, it's like all of us, regardless of our experiences. Some of us have had great experiences, great childhoods. Others have had trauma, developmental trauma, childhood trauma, things that have been really hard to go through. And all of these experiences affect us on some level, regardless of good or bad. It just kind of is. It's this information that we've taken in, exactly like you said, we've internalized it.
Yeah.
And so it's really our job to determine, okay, where do I want to make improvements in my life? Where can my life be better, more fulfilling? Everyone's always trying to work on themselves. So we want to take that and have this awareness of our beliefs so that we can actually start working with it in our everyday life. So once you know and have identified this, you'll see things come up in all different kinds of ways. Like I said, at work, in relationships, family, all of that, you will begin to see, oh my gosh, these are like the colored glasses that I've
Yeah.
been seeing things through. And all of us have them because we're humans, and that's part of the whole learning experience. We are trying to protect ourselves, our future, and our present moment. We're trying to protect that and find safety. And the things that we've gone through before, we've been essentially taught a lesson of that wasn't great, or I didn't like that. And so we put these mechanisms in place. Like I said, we're not even fully aware of it a lot of the time. But now we have the opportunity to become aware of it and see how things have impacted us with the current state that we're in, and then where we want to go from here.
Yeah.
Because,
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just think you had so much in that. You covered a lot of ground there. One thing that really resonated is this idea that, because of our past experiences, because of what we're taught, either by our parents or by society around us as we're growing up, we've kind of ingrained in our mind these kind of core beliefs of this is how it is, this is how life is. And so when we have those experiences that teach us those lessons that you talked about, those painful learnings, that in our mind, that's how we see things. And so it really takes a lot. I'm sure you're going to get into it in terms of how we acknowledge that just because we feel, it's not an absolute. The way we see the way we see the world around us, the way we see life working, it's not an absolute, and it's different for everyone. And to acknowledge that kind of what your belief is, what your experience has taught you, is not necessarily, the right, the right path or the right way of thinking. That acknowledgement is just so key.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also so important for us to know that, of course, we would have beliefs based on what we've been through. Of course, our brain and our body would be yearning to protect us and help keep us safe in whatever way that it can. And a lot of times that is putting this belief in place for us. So yeah, we got to work with what we have, and everyone has something that they're currently dealing with or has really been ingrained for a lifetime. And so now, like I said, we have that opportunity. We can start working on it. We can bring it to our awareness, because the awareness portion is such a huge piece. And honestly, the awareness portion could be a full-on episode in itself, because there's so much that goes into that. Not only the awareness of it, but how it shows up. So maybe this will be something that we come back to.
Sure.
But without any further ado, I have my 3 common limiting beliefs that I have spoken with people about, and is really pretty prevalent. So I'd love to hear what you have to say. The first one is, I need to earn rest.
Okay.
So I need to earn rest. I need to do something essentially worthwhile to be able to take a break. And this one has been very, very prevalent with my community, and then our community, Flourish Podcast community, and then even outside of this, with some of the work that I've done with trauma and certifications there, where this shows up for people. I need to earn rest. Do you feel like you, Devin, have ever felt this show up for you?
Oh, sure. I think, it goes back to this mentality very early on, where it's, just earning, in order to get this, you need to put in the work in order to earn this. And I think it's what drives a lot of people. We all, even going back to like school, it's, you have to, you go through school, your 5 days of school, and you earn that weekend, that time when you don't have to go to school. And I think we see that in work as well, working for the weekend. a song, by the way. I'll just throw that out there. I'm just gonna pepper you with songs.
Every episode, we're gonna have to like put that in the show notes. What song did Devin reference today?
Yes, working for a living. And then, but even going back there, I mean, I think about kind of the work reward, kind of that mentality. You maybe you're doing chores at home, or maybe if you're good, you get Christmas presents or things like that. The fact that you have to earn that reward. And so, I think it's very prevalent, but and kind of on the flip side of things, I think it's what it does drive high performers in terms of, this is what, I have to do this. I have to put in the extra hours to get that reward. And, when it comes to your body, both mentally and physically needing that break, needing that rest. Sometimes you have that feeling that, well, I haven't finished this task A or task B or task C, so I can't allow myself to do that until I finish those tasks.
Right. Yeah. And this is where people push themselves past the point of, oh, I'm really, really tired. And then they end up going all the way over to exhaustion that can't be just rested very easily. There's other things that you have to do to recover from that. So I think this is a big one, because exactly like you said, it has been so ingrained just in our society, in American culture. Even I know, like, I need to earn a cookie. I need to do this to earn something. We give ourselves a reward after we've done the hard work. And for a lot of people, they don't exactly know where to draw the line, where to say, okay, I've done enough already. I feel good enough already about my contribution. Or even kind of on the flip side of that, not even drawing the line, but why do we have to draw the line? Why do we have to do something to get rest? I mean, we're human beings. We do need rest. This is a biological need, especially with the work that we do. A lot of people are working in these very cognitive based roles. We're taking on a lot of mental energy. We're expending so much thinking, and maybe we're sitting at a desk all day long, but we are spending our energy thinking, putting all this stuff together, putting it out there, working, and so we want to be able to meet our needs without feeling like we have to earn it, because like I said, we're human. We don't need to earn. This is a birthright for us. Resting is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
Yes.
So that's number one, is the need to earn rest, to be able to take a break. And we would love to hear from you if that one resonates at all for you, with different things that have come up in your life for our listeners and our viewers. The second one I have is something that's pretty across the board for most people. There's some level. When we talk about limiting beliefs in a general way, people come up with this limiting belief very frequently. So I know a lot of people are dealing with this one, is I am not worthy. And the asterisk there for me, of course, this can apply to anything. I am not worthy. But for high performers, professionals, it's I am not worthy of that promotion or that salary, or I am not worthy of getting help. I am not worthy of the support. I'm not worthy of rest. That ties into the first one. So I am not worthy. And of course, this one plays a huge role in how we see ourselves and how we approach the world and how we approach work with what we do. If we feel we're not worthy, what do you think someone's going to do with that? They are going to try to do everything in their power to prove that they actually are worthy, not only to everyone else, but also to themselves. So that internal drive is going in overdrive.
Yes. So I thought this was going to be your first one, because this is the one we hear about most often.
Yeah.
Is I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. Sorry, I had a Saturday Night Live sketch just pop in my head. So I'm going to mess this up, but just it's a play on this whole kind of this self-affirmation of trying to tell yourself that yes, you are good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh darn it, people like me. Sorry about that. So we talk about this idea, and we see this a lot, and how it kind of hurts us in a lot of different ways. And I think a lot of it stems from, you get into a situation and you sort of question, you see all the people around you, you see them, these other high performers, and you see what they're doing. And it's natural. You sort of compare yourself to everyone else, and you kind of think, well, I'm not as smart as that person, or I don't write as well as that person, or I'm not, and so it starts getting into our head that maybe we don't belong where we actually are. And so that is key. And it, we talk, we'll get into other episodes when we start talking about things like fear of public speaking, and just the reason, the whole idea that, your main fear is driven by this idea that you'll be exposed for who you may not know what people expect you to know. And so, it keeps you from pushing forward, or from kind of rightfully progressing within your career, if you hold yourself back with this mentality that, well, if I do get that promotion, I'm probably not going to do a good job, or I don't know what I'm doing. And the reality is that we don't know what we're doing. Right? We learn as we go.
Yeah.
And just having that mindset, being able to overcome that, I think is just so critical.
Yes. Yeah. And the the way this shows up for people, I like what you said, even about referencing some of the things that we might record an episode on very very soon, fear of public speaking, that sort of thing. But people finding out and being exposed, you being exposed for whatever you don't know. I mean, that's imposter syndrome for a lot of people, and that's very, very prevalent in and of itself in pretty much any industry you go into. But professionals often feel that way. I know for me, graduating with an engineering degree and then going into the industry, I was like, did I learn anything in college? Okay, they're just going to send me back. They're going to say that you don't know enough, when of course it's this learning curve, and theory is much different than practicality and real world experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that we have to be working on when we find out about it. It's like when you realize you might feel a certain type of way about your own self-worth, then I feel like we have no other option but to work on it. If we want to better our situation, our life, our own perception of ourselves. So it is a really good opportunity, but this can show up in so many different ways for people, of this worthiness component. So I would say examine your life, examine your relationships, see how you feel about work, how you feel about money, what's your money mindset, and start there to see, is this relevant? And then begin to bring it up into that awareness and start working with it.
Yeah. All right.
And then thirdly, my last one for today is work is hard. So this one is interesting because you're like, I don't know. When I first heard about this, I it like took a second to really sink in, and then I started thinking and talking to people as well and seeing how they felt about it. But if you have this belief of work is hard, then of course what you focus on grows. So you will start to see the things that confirm your belief. You're going to see work is hard. And that, I mean, that's the thing with these limiting beliefs is, of course, our brain is searching for things that make them
Yeah.
true for us. So I'm not worthy. You're going to have this red flag every time you do something that you don't think is great, it's like, ding, ding, ding. See, I told you you're not worthy. Same with work being hard. If you believe that work is hard, when you approach something and you don't do a good job, or it takes a super long time, or you're not enjoying your work, your perception is going to be confirmed. It's going to be like, ding, ding, ding. I told you work is hard. This is not enjoyable. This takes so much work for you to get to, point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this work is hard belief?
I'm still trying to. I'm thinking about it from different perspectives, because certainly I think there are, when we say something is hard, it's. I mean, you always hear people say, "Oh, well, that's it. That's why it's called work." Actually, forget I said that. Well, it's this idea that the effort required to complete the task, or the skill set, or whatever that's required to complete that task, to do that work, is beyond what you feel your abilities are. So I think that's one perspective when you say, well, this is hard, or I can't do this. That's one aspect, is that we kind of have that mindset that, again, going back to the I'm not good enough, it's too hard because I just said it. Anyway, the other thing is something else that you'd mentioned is it's not fun.
Yeah.
And again, that was what I was going to. My thoughts are all mixed up on this one, but this idea that it's not supposed to be fun. It's work. That's why it's work.
Right.
But I think when you're doing something that you don't enjoy, and it's something you have to do over and over, this idea that yes, work is hard. It's not something I want to do right now. And when you have that attitude, when you have that mindset of I don't want to do this, it really makes you look forward to that reward at the end, that weekend, or that rest that you give yourself, in acknowledgement of the fact that you did that hard work. That was kind of all over the place.
Well,
So, go ahead.
You do look forward to the weekend, of course, because you're like living for the weekend, but your week is terrible to be in that place. Yeah. It's like, to me, it reminds me a lot of when you're wanting to leave a job. The job isn't a good fit for you anymore, or you're trying to shut down your business. You want to pivot. You don't want to do whatever you're doing anymore, or you don't want to work with the same people anymore. Then it's like the case of senioritis. It's that case of I am on the way out. I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, however it is. And the little things start getting to you. So yes, you may enjoy the weekend a little bit more. You might savor it a little bit more, but you are suffering during Monday through Friday. You are suffering because of this belief. For me, the work is hard is an interesting one, because this also plays into your money mindset. If you believe that you have to do hard work to get more money, for a lot of people, what's actually true is that when you start making more money, in a lot of ways, the work becomes easier. I think there's a bit of a phenomenon here. I can apply this to my own career journey. When I first started out, it seemed like I was putting in so much time. The learning curve was so much like bigger. And then you start mastering skills and you specialize and you
Yeah.
become this master and this person who has just completely grown from point A to point B where you're at right now. And so work in many respects starts feeling easier. And I think a lot of people with the current economy can definitely say, oh, I feel like working that desk job might actually be easier than waiting tables downtown. It's this perception of, well, what is hard?
Yeah.
And so the work is hard. The money mindset that goes into that can affect us not only for the income that we're after and being driven towards, but really how we approach life in general. Is, do we have this view that things are so hard, and then how is that affecting us in our daily life? Because I think it shows up for a lot of people, is this work
Yeah.
being hard. And even just saying that, like, work is hard for me, it's this, what you say does actually matter. And so
Hmm.
if you call your friend and they're like, well, how was your day? And you're like, oh my God, it was so hard. And every single day is like that. Then yeah, there's something going on that we need to examine a little bit further.
I think also when you kind of embrace this mindset that work is hard, it's almost as if you're kind of giving yourself that that out, that if you fail, well, I failed. It didn't work out because it was really hard.
Yeah.
And so if you feed yourself that idea that this is really hard, you kind of present yourself with that option of failure. Which
Yeah.
isn't, which happens, which does happen, and that there's nothing wrong with that. We learn a lot through failure,
Mhm.
but you're almost going into that with the mindset that you're not believing in yourself that you can succeed.
Right? You're getting more confirmation that you're not worthy
Yes,
of
it all
success.
comes together, all goes
It all comes
around.
together. Yeah, and of course, if we have these experiences, and this I think would be a great reflection for people. If you have um limiting beliefs that you become aware of and you want to start working on them, I think it's really important for us to take a second, many times, because of course things will come up as you spend more time here and approach different situations, but determine, well, where did this come from? If you have a dad, for instance, who always came home from work and said, oh, what a day, I can't believe such and such happened,
Yeah,
if it was like drama around that, you as a child is taking all of that in and starting to have this belief that, well, my dad thinks work is so hard, he's right. I mean, if he's approaching this, our money mindset, even coming from our parents, from the way that we were raised a lot of the time. So taking a second and saying, well, when's the first time or when's the last time when I was a kid that I had this belief of not being worthy? I mean, who said that I wasn't worthy? And if
yeah,
you trace it all the way back, that can be some really good information for us. And of course, we don't heal from getting information, but I do think it's appropriate to know on our own journey where some of these things came from. And for me, I know when I did my kind of dark night of the soul journey, trying to figure out different things in my life, I did want to examine my past, and I did want to examine my childhood and the relationships that I had had my whole life. So, so I think that that's a really good starting point for people, is seeing what comes up for you. If you can relate to any of these three here, but
Yeah.
then also not only bringing it to our awareness, but getting curious about it and seeing, well, where did this originate from? And also, then we can start saying, well, was that really true?
Yeah.
Did that middle schooler who said that I was a horrible person, was she right? And kind of like getting curious and questioning some of these things too, and starting to see it with our own eyes, because now we're adults. Now we have a plethora of experience. Our experience is totally different from that of our parents and of our friends for a lot of us. So we have these new glasses that we could put on and see things more clearly, to just tie it all up with a bow, so we can put on our new glasses and see things clearly for what they are, and kind of go out and make progress in little steps, because exactly like you said, failure is inevitable in my opinion, but it's what we learn from that. It's how we perceive those failures. It's how much grace and compassion we give ourselves, and that's a huge part of dealing with these limiting beliefs, is that grace,
Yeah.
compassion, getting back up after we've fallen down, we've had a bad day, that sort of thing.
Well, I think, one of the big challenges is, and you've kind of already touched on it, is, as we said in the beginning, these beliefs are things that were ingrained in our heads, possibly, early childhood. And so in our mind, this is the way it is. Like the last one, for instance, the whole idea that work is hard. If you're taught that work is hard, that is just what you believe, and that is what you know to be true.
Yeah.
So you talk about how, that's how the lens through which you see the world around you. And being able to get new glasses, to recognize that there are different glasses out there,
Yeah.
that it's not just one thing. And so I think it really takes, it takes an intentional effort for you to kind of look inside at your experiences, look at, the challenges you faced, why things have gone the way they are, and potentially, at the root of it are these, these types of beliefs. Are those the things that are holding you back, or causing you to not succeed at the level you'd like to? So kind of that first step is a big one, right? Is that acknowledgement, and
Mhm.
talking to people like yourself, or friends, other people about these sort of things can help uncover some of these things that may force you into that, out of your comfort zone, out of what you know in your mind to be true, so that you can, really be more open to these other perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Love that. Well, thank you, Devin, for this kind of off the cuff conversation about limiting beliefs. I figured this was a very timely topic, as
sure.
we just speak with more people in our community. So we'd love to hear your thoughts if you
Yes.
resonate with any of this, and let us know if you want us to talk more about this, because there are many, many, many more things to say.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Bye.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.